You keep telling yourself you're stuck, that your life, your patterns, your emotions are somehow cemented into place by fate, karma, or bad luck. But that's not what's actually happening. You're not trapped in a fixed reality. You're trapped in a measurement. In physics, there's a phenomenon called the Quantum Zeno Effect. It sounds abstract, but it is the hidden engine behind why your life looks the same, month after month, year after year, even when you swear you want change. Once you understand it, you will never see your stuckness the same way again. Imagine a tiny quantum system that is supposed to evolve, to change from one state to another. Left alone, it would naturally shift, transform, explore other possibilities. But physicists discovered something disturbing. If you measure that system often enough, you can freeze it. Constant observation stops its evolution. Just by checking it repeatedly, you lock it into the very state it was trying to leave. That is the Quantum Zeno Effect. And it is not just happening in laboratories. You are doing it to your own life every single day. Think about how you move through your day. You decide, I'm going to change. You feel a small spark of possibility. Maybe you start a new habit, send a message, try something unfamiliar. For a moment, the system is in motion. Your reality begins to shift, but then your mind kicks in and starts measuring. You check. Has anything changed yet? Do I feel different? Do people treat me differently? Is the result here? And every time you perform that measurement from the old identity, you collapse back into the old state. You don't give the new pattern time to stabilize. You interrupt the evolution with constant self-surveillance. You do this with your body. You go to the gym once, look in the mirror 10 times, and decide it's useless. Quantum Zeno. You do this with money. You take one bold step, then obsessively refresh your banking app and panic when nothing has exploded overnight. Quantum Zeno. You do this with your emotional life. You try being vulnerable once, open your mouth, and then immediately scan every reaction, every micro-expression, every silence, looking for proof you're still unsafe. Quantum Zeno. The pattern isn't failing. You're killing it with overmeasurement. Your nervous system has been trained to constantly check for danger, rejection, loss, and failure. That checking feels like being responsible or being realistic, but on a deeper level. It is exactly what locks you into the very reality you say you want to escape. The more you stare at your fears, the more you stabilize them. The more you repeatedly confirm that nothing is changing. The more you prevent anything from changing. You are not just a victim of your life. You are the experimenter who won't stop sticking instruments into the system. This is why every time you try to break a habit, you feel that invisible pull back to who you were. It's not just psychological resistance. It's energetic inertia born from constant measurement. You don't let your nervous system experience the new state long enough to accept it as normal. You dip in and out. A few seconds of courage followed by 5 hours of self-analysis. Every time you ask, is it working yet? From a place of doubt, you return yourself to the starting point. You reset the system and then complain there's no progress. Your brain joins this sabotage with a very specific mechanism: prediction. It does not simply watch reality, it predicts what will happen and then filters everything through that prediction. If your internal model says, I'm the one who always fails, your brain measures every situation that way. It constantly checks. Are we failing yet? Is this another disappointment? Those mental measurements are not neutral. They freeze your behavior. You hesitate, underperform, withdraw. Then the outcome matches the prediction, and you call it proof, when in truth, it was maintenance. You can see the Quantum Zeno Effect in your relationships too. Two people argue. There is a moment mid-conflict where healing is possible, where one honest sentence could change the trajectory of the entire connection. But instead of letting the moment breathe, both sides keep measuring the other. Are they still against me? Do they still not understand me? Are they about to abandon me again? That constant scanning for the same wound keeps the wound open. The argument doesn't evolve. It just repeats in new costumes, because neither person will stop measuring from the old identity. This is also why your attempts at manifestation often fail. You sit to visualize a new reality, a new level of abundance, love, impact. For a few minutes you actually touch it. Your body softens. Your nervous system gets a glimpse of a different timeline. The wave of potential begins to form. Then, as soon as you open your eyes, you run back to your old dashboards, your bank balance, your notifications, your numbers, your external validation. You check, check, check. Nothing has changed. In that moment, you collapse the wave back into the old state. Not because the new one wasn't real, but because you refuse to let it live without dissecting it to death. Here is the knife edge. Observation itself is not the problem. The problem is the point of view you are observing from. In physics, what freezes the system is rapid measurement of the same state. In your life, it's rapid measurement from the same identity. The frightened self, the unworthy self, the abandoned self, the I always ruin everything self. That's the observer that keeps checking. As long as you observe your life from that place, you will collapse the same version of you, no matter how many affirmations you repeat. So what does it mean to break the quantum Zeno trap in a human life? It does not mean refusing to look at reality. It means changing who is doing the looking. Instead of the anxious personality constantly interrogating the world for proof of its fears, you cultivate a different observer, calm, spacious, patient, anchored in a deeper identity that is not defined by yesterday's story. When this silent observer watches your experience, it doesn't immediately rush to categorize every event as success or failure, hope or doom. It allows the new state to exist without immediately stabbing it with doubt. Practically, this looks much simpler than you think. You decide on a new pattern, a habit, a way of speaking, a boundary, a creative act, and you commit to running it long enough without obsessively measuring results. You act as if you're updating the operating system, not checking every second whether the progress bar has moved. You give your nervous system time to recognize, this is who we are now. That period feels uncomfortable because the old observer is screaming to come back in and check. It wants certainty, even if the certainty is misery. Your work is to hold the line and refuse to collapse back, just to feel familiar. In the same way, you begin to watch your own thoughts with less urgency. Instead of immediately believing every mental notification, you let them pass. Here comes the old measurement. This never works. Here comes the old scan. People like me don't get that. You see them arising, but you do not join them. In that space, you temporarily stop measuring your life from the old identity. The system is free to evolve. Latent possibilities that were suffocated by constant analysis start to breathe. None of this means you abandon action. In fact, it demands more honest action than your current life. You still send the message, write the email, make the offer, go to the gym, invest in the project. But you do it from a different state. This is who I am becoming, not let me test whether I'm still a failure. You act, then you release. You do not refresh the result every 5 minutes like a gambler at a slot machine. You let the wave evolve. You give reality time to reorganize around the new you, instead of ripping it open every few seconds to see if it's done. There is one more layer, and it is the most confronting. You say you're desperate for change, but at some level, your constant measuring is proof that you are more loyal to certainty than to transformation. You would rather stay who you are and be right about how life works than become someone else and admit your old story was incomplete. The Quantum Zeno Effect reveals this brutally. You are freezing your own evolution because you cannot stop confirming your old identity. You don't just want a new life. You want a new life that doesn't threaten who you currently believe you are. Breaking this requires a kind of death. The death of, I know who I am and how this always goes. It requires you to tolerate stretches of life where the outer reality hasn't caught up, but the inner observer has already changed sides. It requires faith, not in a vague universe, but in the simple fact that if you stop collapsing the same story, something else has room to appear. You don't control the timing. You don't control the exact form. You only control whether you will keep freezing the old state. So the next time you hear yourself say, "Nothing ever changes," ask a different question. How often am I measuring my life from the same wounded lens? The next time you feel the urge to dissect your progress for the 10th time today, pause and recognize the trap. If I keep checking from this identity, I already know the result. Then, just for a moment, let the system evolve without you stabbing it with doubt. You are not stuck because the universe is ignoring you. You are stuck because you have become an expert at holding a ruler to your reality every 5 seconds and declaring it the same size. Stop measuring from the past, and the future has a chance to move.
You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me.